So, do you think that maybe we can make this Logitech H390 sound decent on stream? Let's find out. What's going on, everyone? John from Hobbyist PCs here, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. Today I'm going to attempt to make a fairly inexpensive headset mic, and I'm going to try to make it sound somewhat tolerable for a live stream. Now, for those who don't know, I have made a video in the past about using VST plugins to try to improve your mic audio for streaming, and in that video I used mainly Reaper plugins as well as the program Reaper itself to try to demonstrate how you can do this. Today I'm going to be doing something pretty similar to that, but you'll at least get an idea of what it is that I go through to try to get the mic to sound decent. Do I think the mic will sound amazing afterward? Honestly, not really. But at the very least, I think it'll sound a lot better than what it did before, and it'll at least sound tolerable for a live stream. All right, let's get right into it. First of all, one of the first things I did is I made sure to gain stage the microphone itself. Now, at 100%, if I right-click on the speaker icon, I go to Sounds, then I go to Recording. It's not on the list here, but just for the sake of example, I will go to, we'll go to Focusrite for here for now. When I went to the Levels tab, it was set to 100. I had to bring it down to about 37. I think it was like 37 or 35. Right around there seemed to be a pretty good sweet spot as far as getting the gain balanced out and not having the microphone peak, because at 100%, the microphone was peaking like crazy. When I say peaking out, I'm also referring to clipping. Basically, a lot of distortion, it was very unpleasant to listen to, so I had to bring down the gain drastically here. Anyway, I had it set to about 37. I think I actually brought it down to 32, and I kind of just left it there, and it was pretty good to go. As far as what the end result was, why don't we take a listen to it right here. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? Not what I would call amazing quality. It's very thin, kind of tinny. It really isn't pleasant to the ears, and I think I've got my work cut out for me here. Now, one thing that I like to do when I try to get my sound dialed in for a microphone is I try to get some kind of a reference. This is definitely comparing apples to oranges here, but I basically use my own microphone as a reference for now. You could use your favorite podcast if you're able to obtain a recording of that, and you can kind of use that as a way to kind of do an A-B comparison of the two to see if you're getting kind of close to it. Unless you've got the same voice, unless you've got the same exact setup as that other person that you're referencing, you're probably not going to get your setup to sound exactly the same, but you can do your best to get it close. Why don't we go ahead and take a listen to what it is I have recorded here. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be going over a little tutorial showing you guys how to set up Reaper. I think that's good enough for now, and as we compare that to what we had, what's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs. It's a pretty stark difference. Anyway, why don't we go ahead and attempt to get started here, since I don't think we're going to get it to sound exactly like this, but it'll at least tell us like where we need to let's just call it a goal. It's an aim to shoot for. Now, one of the first plugins that I personally like to add in right off of the bat is something to cancel out all the background noise that's going on there. It's a plugin that is called REA Fur. We'll just slap that in there. I want to set it to subtract. And as I hit play here, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of room to work with here. I want a nice quiet spot in the audio. And you want to make sure that it's only picking up background noise. If I had done this correctly, I would have recorded a long period of silence, and that would have been perfect. In this case, we've got a very small window to work with here, so I'm going to do my best with it. Now, if you're wondering why I stopped it so quickly, is because if you go a little further into it, I'm going to just uncheck that while we have the profile captured. You can see that something got picked up over here. We play it back. That can throw off the entire process. It can actually almost ruin the audio. In this case, all I'm trying to do is filter out that background fan noise that's getting picked up by the microphone. Even if you were to have a microphone like this, it's a dynamic mic, it's still going to pick up some background noise. And if I were to start adding things like compression and really jacking up the gain on the audio, that noise is going to start to become a lot louder and noticeable in the recording, and it could actually take away from any EQing that you do. So in this case, we're just trying to do our best to filter out those aspects of the sound. It's not going to get everything, but it's going to get a lot of it out. If we take a listen back, it's really not going to degrade the audio that much. Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's go ahead and just turn that off. Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. It really doesn't sound any different, so we're probably not really going to notice the changes here since the audio impact is very small, but it's going to be, I think it's something that I like to do anyway, just as a safety measure. Next thing we're going to want to do here is I'm going to add a compressor. We're going to use REA comp. And I'm just going to dial in some of my settings that I personally like to use pretty much across the board. I'm probably going to make some adjustments to it along the way. Let's set my ratio to 4 here, 4 to 1. It's a pretty good one for voiceover. I'll set my knee size to about 6 decibels to get started. I might make an adjustment to that. And we're going to go ahead and just start from the beginning, and we're just going to play it back, and we're going to move our threshold slider until we get it to a good spot. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. I feel like the compressor isn't staying compressed long enough. It's kind of, you can hear the volume like changing a lot. So what I think I need to do here is maybe increase my release just a little more, make it so it releases slower. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's bring it down a little more, and I'm also going to highlight this entire section. This way it goes onto a loop. It'll be annoying for you, but I'll be sure to cut as much of that out of the audio as I can. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. That sounds nice and crushed. I think I can go with that. Now we're going to try to make up for some of that lost audio, and I'm going to go ahead and just crank this wet slider up. You don't want to always crank it up all the way, but it is limited to plus 12 decibels, so I'm just going to go with that because according to this meter, we're losing more than 12 decibels for the most part. Maybe I'll just back this off a little bit to try to make it so that we get that gain back. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Not bad. So we hear it with it on and off. That was with it on. We're going to turn it off now. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Basically, it just takes those quiet parts and makes them more even with the louder parts. That's really all I use a compressor for. I think we'll be good with this for now, so what I'm going to actually do is going to add an EQ now. Personally, when it comes to EQs, I like to use parametric EQs as they're just a lot more accurate. Now, one of the first things I like to do with any sort of voiceover is I like to add a high and a low pass filter. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to add a few extra bands here, just in case. Probably don't need 7, but I'm just going to go with the 7 for now. Let's move the 7 over here. I believe the 4 band was set to a high shelf, so I'll set that to a band. We're going to set the 7 to a low pass, and then we're going to set the 1 to a high pass. That's a little too extreme for what I'm trying to do with it, so we'll start with the high pass at first. I use the high pass to try to filter out any sort of like unnecessary low-end sounds I don't really need, and in this case, it's probably right around the 50 range. Today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be... I think right around there is pretty good. There is quite a lacking in the bass side of things on this particular microphone, so I really don't want to filter out too much of it, just some of the unnecessary side of things, but I am going to be boosting the low end at some point here. So what I want to do is I want to take care of the low pass. Let's get this back to a spot where it's not quite as crazy, because there is high end here, but I don't want to make it sound dull. However, there is a really sharp and unpleasant high end present in this microphone, so we're going to be doing a lot of cutting in the high and the mid range here. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound. I'm going to go with that for now. So why don't we go ahead and just find that low end frequency that we want to boost. My guess is that's probably going to be around the 100 hertz range. I'm going to narrow this band a little bit. We'll do a little EQ sweeping action here, and let's try to find that sweet spot for the low end. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. I think right around the 100 hertz range sounds about right as far as where we need to boost things, so I'm going to go ahead and just widen that band a little bit. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? I think that'll do for now. Maybe I could just boost that gain just a little bit. Now we want to go ahead. I think what I might want to do is put like a nice big sweeping like mid-range decrease in this particular range here. All right, I think I'm gonna get started with the 3 band, and I think what I'm gonna want to do here is I think I want to locate that boxy frequency that I'm gonna be hearing, and see if I could just put a nice heavy cut on it. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? All right, we're going to go with that for now. I might make a change to that later, so we're going to see how this big mid-range decrease treats everything. So let's get on with that. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? Might bring this back up just a little more. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this. Now, of course, my reference is going to sound much louder than this, but we want to go ahead and take a listen between the two. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs. Let's take a listen to what we got so far. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs. Then we go ahead, we'll turn off the sound. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. I think I might have cut a little bit too much out of the mid-range, so what I might do here is kind of shorten the band a little bit, and then I might make some more cuts on the high-end side. There's a really harsh frequency in there that's just, it's not pleasant to listen to. So I'm going to basically try to just locate this and see if we can get it reduced. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 right there, somewhere a little after 3K. It just hurts my head to hear that frequency. So I'm going to just go ahead and just bring that down a little bit, or a lot. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? Now let's see if there's like another frequency in there that I can tune down just a little bit. I think right around here is probably a good spot. I'm going to just narrow this a little more. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? Now, there's some certain frequencies in there that I really can't do a lot about because the mic just has a natural quality to it that when it took the snapshot of my voice, I'm probably not going to be able to cut it out quite as well as this mic would, for example. This mic just flatters my voice a lot better. Hi, everyone. I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be going over a little tutorial. When you hear that next to it. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? Now, you can see that I've reduced a lot of frequencies in this recording, and it's for a good reason. It's just simply because this mic just has so many frequencies in it that are just not flattering. And so I did my best to try to reduce it. And what we can do to make up for it is that we can just go ahead and just boost the gain to make up for the loss in volume that we have here. Now, this might be a little too much. I'm going to start at 0. And then we're going to just boost the gain up to a point where we can kind of level match with what we have here. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? Let's take a listen to what we had before. Hi, everyone. I'm John from Hobbyist PCs. And today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech to set up Reaper. Let's hope for the best, shall we? Now, it's not amazing by any means. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. I could probably do a lot more to make some better changes to this, to be honest with you. There's always room for improvement whenever it comes to making your audio better. To me, this sounds a lot better than it did as far as, you know, what the mic is providing me. Now, it's just like a last sort of touch that I like to add. I like to add a limiter in there just to kind of prevent the frequencies from clipping. Let's go in there. I'll bring it down to like -3 for now. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? Now, this limiter isn't necessarily doing anything for me right now, but in the instance where I'm going to be setting up OBS Studio with plugins, I'm going to want to put a limiter at the end of it just in case I get super loud, and that way it'll keep my frequencies from clipping. Now, honestly, after listening back to this a couple of times, I think I might have actually done something better in the previous attempt. I actually have the previous attempt right down here. And one thing I noticed is that in my previous attempt, I actually added a second EQ. Now, I'm actually going to try adding a second EQ into here to see if what I do to it helps improve it some more. So let me go ahead and just pop this open. I'm going to add a second EQ to go right after the first EQ and drag that up here. And what I want to do is I just want to kind of drop the mid-range some more. I'm thinking right around here is probably a good starting point. Let's take a listen first with it off. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech. Now let's take a listen to it with it on. I just put a cut somewhere in the 1000K range. It's somewhere in the mid-range. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? Let's compare this with the reference, shall we? Hello, everyone. I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 Reaper. Now, Reaper is a digital audio. Shall we? What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound. Now, Reaper is a digital audio workstation. Everyone, I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Now, I think one last thing I want to do is I think I might want to just kind of bump down. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Let's hope for the best, shall we? By no means amazing, but hey, I think I'll take that. Let's do one last listen here. We listen to the before. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Now let's do the after. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs, and today I'm going to be attempting to make this Logitech H390 sound somewhat decent. Anyway, guys, this is just to kind of show you guys that regardless of what it is that you have, there's always something that you can do to try to improve your situation. Granted, Streamlabs OBS doesn't support VST plugins the same way that OBS Studio does. However, you can still utilize some of the plugins that they have in there, at least their compression, to try to get your audio to sound a little better. But for those OBS Studio users and for those OBS Live users out there, you have access to these plugins. So you can go ahead and get those Reaper plugins and you can add these in here. And regardless of whether you're using a, kind of like a starter USB mic, or if you're using a headset mic, like in this case, there is something that you can do. And if you take the time to kind of sit there and fiddle with it, I could always sit here and spend more time trying to improve this. You can at least attempt to get your mic in a spot where you're not scaring off your listeners because the mic is just absolutely unbearable to listen to. Make some cuts here and there, boost the frequency that you're lacking, and then boom, you got yourself a better sounding mic. And that just about wraps up this video, guys. I hope it was insightful, and I hope that it kind of sheds some light on some things that you can do to try to get your mic audio to sound better. Anyway, guys, if you found the video helpful, please be sure to like and share with your friends. Down in the description, there'll be links to my various social media pages, along with a link to my Discord. There you can meet many people in the Hobbyist PCs community, and they're all just as enthusiastic about PCs as I am. They're also very willing to help you out if you have any sort of PC issues or you want to learn something new about PCs. We're all about helping people out with those sorts of things. Also, there'll be a link to my Twitch page where I stream twice a week. It's a great place to go and just chat with me live. Also, down below, there'll be a link to the Hobbyist PCs merch page. You can buy coffee mugs and t-shirts with the Hobbyist PCs logo on it. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with everything going on the Hobbyist PCs YouTube channel, please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications, and you'll be notified anytime we update to the channel. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. Thank you so much, and have a pleasant day, everyone.